Spine Chilling Chats podcast, where we like to spill the tea. If you're into the macabre and enjoy hearing about true crime, supernatural, or spooky experiences, pull up a chair, pour yourself a cup of tea, and get ready for some spine chilling chats with Manda and Ange.
Hi to all the spooks out there. I'm Ange.
And I'm Manda.
If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We're like that first sip of coffee in the morning, hitting that spot deep in your soul you didn't even know you needed to be hit.
Yeah, sounds right.
If this isn't your first time joining us, welcome back. We see you're already brewing with excitement.
Mm-hmm. Caffeine is addicting.
So are we.
Exactly.
Well, guys, you get a double shot with this one today because we not only have one serial killer, but two. No excitement? Nothing?
Well, who's got the two?
Me.
You? That's a surprise to me.
They go together.
Oh, okay.
We're going to talk about the killing cousins, David Alan Gore and Fred Waterfield.
Okay.
Just a little trigger warning at the top here. We do have rape and murder of women and teenage girls in this one. So please keep that in mind as you listen. I also did watch the episode of Born to Kill on this case. Ooh. So if afterwards you're still wanting more, go ahead and check it out.
Huh.
It's pretty good. It was season 6, episode 10.
On what play?
I just found it on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what it originally is streaming on.
Okay.
But it's Born to Kill.
Born to Kill. What's the season again?
Season 6, episode 10.
Okay.
All right, let's get to it. David Alan Gore was born today.
Oh, yay.
August 21st.
Happy unbirthday to him. Piece of shit.
Yeah.
I don't even know anything about him yet, but I can already say he's a piece of shit.
We don't ever cover anybody good in this.
Right, so.
You know. But he was born August 21st, 1953 in the Sunshine State of Florida in the Vero Beach area. His parents, Alva and Velma, which that's a lot of were prominent members of the community outwardly, but had some weird little kinks at home.
Mm.
His mother in particular was peculiar, to say the least.
Oh, boy.
She would read the Bible to him, which, okay, that's fine.
Right.
You know?
To each their own.
But she would make him sit on her lap, which, okay, you know, again, that's okay.
But to me, that's a little creepy, depending on how old he is.
Just a young boy.
Okay.
But she would make him sit on her lap and read the Bible while she was only wearing her bra and panties.
Okay. There it is.
That crosses into the not so good.
There it is.
Area. Yeah. He had a sister as well. Her name was Wendy. I couldn't find anywhere that said if she too got these Bible lessons or if it was just David. So I'm assuming it was just
I think
him,
it was just him.
But I don't know. Either way, I wasn't there, thankfully. His father, Alva, worked as a citrus manager and was considered a hardworking man with a good reputation around town. In this area, almost everyone worked in the citrus industry in some fashion.
Oh, yeah.
Being Florida.
Yeah.
So David grew up in the groves and swamps of the area and knew his way around really well. He was shy but laid back. Some would describe him as like a redneck or a hillbilly kind of kid.
Okay. All right. I mean, you're getting the background.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He didn't have much interest in girls growing up. He did, though, eventually have one girlfriend, but she left him because he never even tried to kiss her.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how old is he at this time? It didn't say?
Teenager.
Okay.
Teenager. She actually left him to date his friend, his good friend.
Hey,
So-
like I always say, if he don't want you, get his friend's number.
Yeah, there you go. He grew extremely close to his first cousin, Fred Waterfield, and they were more like brothers and cousins in their closeness.
They were probably kissing cousins.
Probably kissing and killing.
Ugh.
Goes hand in hand. David looked up to Fred and imitated a lot of his behavior. They were pretty good hunters, going after mostly rabbits. David knew all the good hunting spots
I bet he
where
did.
nobody ever went, walking around the swamps and the groves. He just knew where it was secluded.
Of course.
Yep.
That's not creepy at all.
No. When he was a teen, he got fired from his first job working as a gas station attendant after his boss found a peephole that allowed David to look into the women's bathroom.
Okay, so maybe he's not kissing cousins, and he is into women. He just didn't want to kiss his girlfriend. He's weird
maybe
already.
because he was so shy. Like,
Oh, a shy serial killer?
well, he's not a serial killer right now.
Well,
He's
yeah,
a
but
kid.
still.
So maybe he was like too self-conscious to actually kiss a girl, but he was, intrigued and wanted to watch them
That's...
like a creeper. But
Yeah.
I agree it's wrong, but
Ugh.
just saying maybe that's
I mean, okay, I get that.
maybe he was just very, very
Weird?
weird. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only word to describe him at this moment.
In 1974, David married his first wife, Donna Blanion, and they had a son together. In 1975, David's wife moved out and they got a divorce. He then married his second wife, Connie Jean Ayers. This relationship also didn't work out and they got divorced in 1976. A few months later, in 1977, David remarried Donna Blanion. Their second child, a boy, was born in 1981.
So he remarried his first wife?
Yes. Yep.
Because it worked out so well the first time.
Yeah, well,
People do that, though.
Yeah, I know it.
Like,
yeah.
not even like once or twice. They do it a couple times sometimes.
Yeah, no.
I don't...
It costs money to get divorces.
Well, that's why I'm never getting married again.
Yeah.
No. Like, I'll date you. We can be engaged. We are never getting married.
Well, why get engaged then?
I don't know. Just so we can...
Have the ring?
Not really, because I don't really like rings, obviously. But, like... just to have the commitment part of it, I guess. Because some people think, oh, we're just dating. We're just boyfriend, girlfriend. So it's okay for me to go cheat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But if you have a fiance, some people are like, oh, I'm committed to her. So I feel like that would be okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't even have to be engaged, but, I'm just saying I'm never getting married again.
Yeah.
It's, Would you?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on how my marriage ended. If it ended because he left me or I left him or a death, like it's going to, if he died, like I probably wouldn't get remarried. If he left me, I don't know. I might get remarried. I don't know.
I think so. See, we ended on good terms. And it was fine. And then, but I still don't ever want to get married again.
Yeah.
I just think I never wanted to get married in the first place, like at all. I never wanted to get married. I never wanted any kids, nothing. And then here I am, a divorced single mother. Everything that I didn't want, I got, which is fine because I love my kid. But yeah.
I don't know.
I would never do it again.
I got married young.
Yeah, you did.
I was 19. He was the second guy I ever dated. So I'd probably wait a while before getting into a serious relationship again.
You just hoe it out.
Yeah, probably. Because,
Nothing wrong with that.
And I would want to, live on my. I've never lived on my own.
Right. So
Like,
you want to have that
I went from my parents'
independency.
house to us buying our house.
Is that a word? Independency?
Sure,
Okay.
we'll make it a word. If
Okay.
it's not, I don't
Right.
know.
Right. From your parents' house to him.
Yeah. So I've never been alone.
I was never alone until I got divorced. I went from my parents' house to living with him.
Yeah. See, I don't know.
And then when I got on my own, I was like, what the fuck is this? This is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So Fred, David's cousin, was born September 29th, 1952 in New Jersey. His father wasn't around a lot growing up because his dad was an engineer for NASA.
Oh.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
His uncle Alva pretty much raised him as his own. So again, they were more like brothers than cousins. Fred has two sisters named Connie and Deborah. I assume they also stayed with Uncle Alva too, but nowhere specifically said that.
Okay.
But it would be weird for them to keep one kid and not the other.
Well, see, that's like every other serial killer. They got rid of the one that became the serial killer, and they kept the other one who became a normal child.
I don't know. And it didn't mention his mother anywhere. So I don't know.
So that's probably what happened. They probably kept the daughter,
Two daughters.
two daughters, and he went and stayed, like typical serial killer fashion.
Yeah, maybe. Fred was the leader of the two, with David following after him. Fred was always planning something a little naughty, like chasing cars and throwing grapefruits at the windows.
Oh, God.
When the owners would turn around and chase after him, he considered that fun. Like, he was having a good time.
I bet he was.
He was your stereotypical popular jock football player that got all the girls in high school. On December 5th, 1970, Fred married Donna Peterson. So both of them married a Donna.
Well, and I just realized that they're both completely opposites.
Yes. Yep. David is very reserved, shy, quiet, and Fred is very
Outgoing. Into sports.
ladies' man.
Loud. Yeah.
Yeah. Not even a year later, they separated and got divorced. Donna and Fred made up and remarried in
my
1972
God.
and gave birth to their twin daughters, Michelle Dawn and Shauna Marie. No, Shauna Marley. Marle? M-A-R-L-E.
Merle?
Marle?
There's women named Merle.
It's not Merle, though. It's M-A-R-L-E.
Maybe it is Marley.
Marley.
That's what we're going to call it.
Yeah, so Shauna Marley in 1973. Fred met Denise Lentil in March of 1975 and soon after left Donna once more for Denise.
Oh, my God.
On January 31st, 1977, Denise gives birth to a little girl she names Melissa, and she put Fred on the birth certificate as the father. So I'm assuming it's his.
I mean, why would that be of significance if it wasn't?
I don't know. It didn't anywhere else mention anything about that. So
Okay.
in May of 1981, Fred met Pamela Marie Bards. In September of the same year, Fred officially divorced Donna for good, even though they had been separated for years, and he had a baby with another woman and is now dating another woman who he moved in with.
Oh, my. Ladies' man for sure.
I know.
He's hoeing it out.
He sure is. Pamela and Fred applied for a marriage license in October, and were married on November 7th, 1981. So this dude is just going from one woman to the next like nothing.
I guess so.
But they didn't last either
Surprise, surprise.
and separated in 1982. In 1982 or 1983, he met someone else and moved in to the back room of D&F Automotive Specialists. In April of 1983, Marianne Schildwacher moved in with Fred, and that's the last of his romantic life that I could find.
So what is this? That's number 5?
Something like that.
6? I lost count.
So Then the cousins eventually realized they shared a messed up view on sexuality growing up. When they were 10 years old, they assaulted David's sister Wendy's friend, who was only 8 at the time. It didn't go into specifics on what they did to her, but I'm sure it wasn't good. As teenagers, they started looking at David's sister in a sexual way. They also commented to one another on the arousal they had when seeing Fred's mother. Oh, there's Fred's mom. So,
why was she not in the beginning? She just
I don't
popped
know.
up out of nowhere.
She just pops up, you know. While seeing Fred's mother in his sheer blouse. So they're getting turned on by auntie and mommy.
And
sister and cousin.
Ugh.
Ugh. By the time, you would think that this was Alabama, not Florida.
Right. Right.
By the time David was 18,
we probably just lost Alabama people.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Alabama.
Listeners.
By the time David was 18, he and Fred's desire to explore this forbidden side of sex couldn't be pushed back deep inside any longer. Then one of their first sexual encounters that they shared together was when they assaulted David's sister, Wendy, who was 15 or 16 at the time. It's believed that they picked a family member because they could easily control her. They shared their sexual fantasies with one another, creating the sick bond and giving them the confidence to act on those desires. Making David's sister somewhat of a sacrificial lamb. They continued to explore these fantasies, which strengthened their sadistic bond. Their first attempts to rape were unfruitful, thankfully. On June 23rd, 1976, they followed Diane Smalley on State Road 60 just outside Yeehaw Junction.
See, this is not Florida. But I'm not going to say anything about any other states.
No, just Alabama. Fred shot... I'm sorry. Fred shot out her tires with a rifle, but she was able to escape on foot. Then, on July 22nd, 1976, they attacked Alicia Hamrich, 8 miles from Vero Beach. They gave up the pursuit when she was able to park on a busy street and there was too many people around.
Okay.
So they just...
Good for her.
Yeah. In 1976, police jailed and questioned both David and Fred after 20-year-old Angela Hummel Austin accused them of raping her at gunpoint. Angela claimed she called Fred, who happened to be her mechanic, when she found her tires flat and needed assistance. Fred came and instead of taking her to the repair shop like he said he would, he drove her deep into the orange groves. David was there waiting for them. This is a quote from Angela on her experience. David didn't really speak much, he just looked. He had this stare, like evil look and creepy. They both looked at me and they started to laugh, but their eyes, it was kind of like they had an undisclosed power connection. That's when David said, "Okay, we're ready to do this now." And Fred just looked and he was like getting worked up, like he enjoyed this. That's when Fred grabbed me and he reached over to the glove compartment. That's for the first time when I saw a gun. So then after they finished raping her at gunpoint, they drove her home, threatened her to keep her mouth shut about what has just happened, and just let her go.
Dummies.
Yeah. So of course she went to the police, but
Right.
Nothing much really
Came of it.
Of
course.
Yeah. In 1980, David got sworn in as an auxiliary deputy. David and Fred committed their very first murders. The Ling family had recently moved to Vero Beach after migrating from their native home of Taiwan. The father, Pu Ling, worked in one of the many orange groves in the area. They were a nice family that everyone liked. Inghua Ling who was 17, and her mother, Shang Wang, who was 48, and then Poo.
Poo.
P-U, Poo. Poo.
Foo. Poo.
It's not,
No, it's not Foo, I know.
Poo.
Poo.
Inghua was a very sweet girl who was an honors student in math. On February 19th, 1981, David confronted Inghua and flashed his auxiliary police badge to lure the teenager into his truck, then drove her back to her house. Once there, he encountered Shang Wang and kidnapped both women. David later claimed that the mother, tied to a tree, slowly choked to death while he and Fred raped the daughter. I just can't even imagine how absolutely helpless that mother felt watching her baby girl
Right.
being raped by these horrible
There's
men.
nothing you can do at that point.
And her knowing that she's dying herself, she's slowly choking to death, and could do nothing to help her. It breaks my heart. That's hard. Oh, poor family. Fred and David then dismembered the two women and stuffed their body parts into oil drums, which they then buried. When Puling arrived home and found his family gone, he contacted the police, and he got Detective Phil Redstone. So Detective Redstone received the call alerting him of the missing mother and daughter and went out to the house and inspected it. They found that Mrs. Ling's purse was still there on the table just inside the front door. The vacuum cleaner was still plugged in, and it looked as though she had been vacuuming prior to disappearing and just left it in the middle of the floor.
Oh.
There weren't any signs of a struggle or anything disturbed in the house. The police had almost no evidence to go on. There weren't any neighbors nearby. So with no suspects, no evidence, and no place to start, Detective Redstone was left with very little hope of closing this case. On July 15th, 1981, Detective Redstone was hit with another mystery. Judy Kate Daly, who grew up in Vero Beach but had relocated to California, was back visiting family. She took her two daughters to a nearby beach, but didn't stay there with them since it was more of a teen hangout. So Judy went to a quieter, more secluded area of the beach by herself so her daughters could have fun without their mom hanging out to embarrass them. She then just disappeared.
Who?
Judy.
Okay.
The mom. Detective Redstone was called to the beach to begin the investigation. When the officer first arrived, he found Judy's car parked over to the side all by itself. No other vehicles were in the parking lot. They checked the car to make sure there weren't any occupants inside, which there weren't. They then checked the beach area to see if there was anyone on the beach that may have seen Judy there, but no one had seen her, and there was no evidence of any of her blankets or personal items or anything else on the beach. Only her car in the parking lot proved that she had been there at all.
Okay.
They decided to take the car into custody and impound it. They noticed the car had been altered to stop it from being able to be started. So somebody did something to it.
Disabled the car somehow.
Yeah, just like Edward did to Bella in Twilight.
Oh my gosh.
Gotta bring it back to Twilight.
Always.
Yeah.
And it was on a beach.
Yeah. Once again, they were left without a lot of evidence, and we're now up to 3 missing women. Later, they found out that David had disabled her car, then played a good Samaritan. He offered her a ride to the nearest telephone so she could call. Once she was inside his pickup truck, though, David pulled out a pistol, handcuffed Judy, and called Fred on his way to the Grove. Fred was happier with this delivery, writing out a check for $1,500 after both men finished raping their victim.
They paid her?
Fred was paying David. So he's getting David to find these women, snatch them up, so they can rape them and kill them. And then David is responsible for disposing of them.
That's weird because David is the shy one.
Yep.
So how could he go out and get these women?
He's
you know
doing,
what I mean?
Yeah, but he's doing it. So 2 years later, David would tell about Judy Daly's fate, describing how he fed her to the alligators in a swamp 10 miles west of Interstate Highway 95. So it's believed that Fred was the ringleader and David would just find the victims he thought Fred would enjoy. Then David would dispose of them.
So David didn't actually do any of the killings?
No, David did.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, they both did.
Okay.
So after all this, he got on the police radar after he carried out an unauthorized and suspicious traffic stop. You know, since he was...
Deputy, whatever.
Yeah, an auxiliary officer.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't really know what that means.
It's like a, what my ex used to do. It's like somebody who doesn't volunteer, but like volunteers to go in and help the police.
Okay, so he's not like a real police officer?
I mean, they can do the stuff the police officers do, but they have to have like police officer, like
chaperoning them.
Yeah, you know.
Okay, so they're like an assistant to a teacher.
Yeah,
okay.
In a way.
They can't really teach on their own, but they have to.
Yes, they
okay.
have to be watched by the teacher. Why can I not think of what that's called?
I don't know.
I'm sure it'll come to me. It's going to drive me crazy now. Reserve. A reserve police officer is what they're called here.
Okay.
But I think Buchanan calls them auxiliary.
Okay.
It's just like a police officer that, you know, like they go and patrol like the fireworks or like the Apple Festival, fairs, things like that.
Okay.
Things that are going on in the community, they can go patrol and you know, kick people out.
So they have extra bodies.
Yeah. Yeah.
To keep everybody in line.
Yes.
Like a bouncer.
Yeah.
Okay. But they can't can they write tickets and stuff like that?
I don't believe they can write tickets, but they can, for Niles, I know two of them can ride together and then as long as they radio it in, they can pull somebody over, but then I think they have to wait for
a real officer to come.
Yeah. But they, like my ex got into a foot chase and caught the guy and put him in handcuffs. You know what I mean? Like he was also with the full-time police officer. But like,
so they can detain, but they can't arrest and they can't.
They can detain. Yeah. They can't issue tickets. I don't believe they can kick people out. They can, yeah, like that kind of stuff. Pretty much everything a police officer can do, they can do, but they just have to have a police officer present.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So anyways, he carried out an unauthorized and suspicious traffic stop. He pulled over an 18-year-old girl, Dana Sturgis, and told her that there had been a robbery in the neighborhood and her car matched the description of the car involved in the robbery. He took her driver's license and told her to follow him to a location so an eyewitness could identify her car. So she does go with David, but when they get to this isolated road, there was some dude fishing there. So David pretends to get a call on the radio and proceeds to tell her that they located the suspect and she was free to go.
Ooh, she got lucky.
Thank goodness for that dude fishing.
Uh-huh.
In 1981, he was forced to resign after getting caught for armed trespassing of a vehicle. Marilyn Owens was at her family doctor and headed to her car after her appointment was over. As she approached the car, she saw a head pop up in the back seat. Luckily, a police officer was at the doctor's office at that time too.
Okay.
So she stopped him and told him what she had seen. The officer checked out her car and found David hiding in the back seat with his shirt off, an alcoholic drink in one hand, and a shotgun, a handgun, and a police scanner with him. The most damning item, though, were the handcuffs he had with him. So this act led him to be sentenced to prison for 5 years. But David was let out in 1982 after serving only 1 year and spent the next 137 days in a halfway house. And so he no longer gets to be a auxiliary police officer. On May 20th, 1983, David and Fred spotted 2 Orlando hitchhikers, Angelica Lavalle and Barbara Ann Byer. They were both only 14 years old at the time. He picked them up, or they picked them up. David and Fred raped, killed, and dismembered both girls. Mm-mm. But it didn't have any other information on them.
Okay.
Just their names and ages. Lynn Elliott, age 17, and Regan Martin, age 14, students at Vero Beach High School, were hitchhiking to Wabasso Beach after hanging out at the beach just a few blocks away from Lynn's home. So I guess they got tired of that beach and wanted to go to a different one. Mm-hmm. David and Fred picked them up on July 26, 1983. They took both girls to a house owned by David's parents on 5th Street Southwest on the outskirts of Vero Beach. Fred soon left after he got spooked because they passed his sister driving, like during the drive to David's parents' house. Mm-hmm. And so after that, he was like, she probably saw me. Mm-hmm. And so
he's like, never mind.
Yeah, he ditched.
Fuck this.
David later told police that he bound and placed the girls in different rooms prior to raping them. As he was assaulting Reagan, Lynn Elliott, who was nude with her hands tied behind her back, escaped to the driveway until she lost her footing and fell to the ground. According to David, and this is a quote, "I kept running after her, then she tripped and fell, and then I caught up to her." End quote. David told police, and this is another quote, "I started dragging her back, and she was trying, like resisting, fighting me, so I threw her to the ground. That's when I shot her in the head."
Jesus.
End quote. David shot her twice at point-blank range, only to realize that a neighbor's son riding his bicycle had witnessed the entire incident. The boy alerted police, which led to a 90-minute standoff between David and law enforcement. The police arrested David and rescued Reagan. She was found in the attic naked, handcuffed, and with electrical cords tied around her legs. Reagan told police she had been thumbing rides with Lynn Elliott when David and another man picked them up, flashing a pistol and driving them to the house, where they were stripped and raped repeatedly in separate rooms. On August 10th, 1983, a grand jury charged David with first-degree murder with two counts of kidnapping and 2 counts of sexual battery. December 7th, 1983, David led police to the remains of 3 of his 6 murder victims. These victims were Barbara Ann Byer, Sheng Wang Ling, and her daughter Yingwang Ling. He also admitted to killing 3 girls and 2 women. On January 6, 1984, David's trial was moved from Vero Beach to St. Petersburg, Florida. Probably so he could get a fair trial, since I'm sure they didn't like him much in Vero Beach.
Oh, I'm sure.
2 months later, on March 16, 1984, the jury convicted him of first-degree murder, and after an 11-1 vote, he received the death sentence.
Good.
On August 22, 1985, the Supreme Court affirmed David's first-degree murder conviction and death penalty. On January 21, 1985, Fred was convicted of the murders of Barbara Ann Byer and Angelica Lavalle. He received 2 consecutive life sentences. On March 3, 1988, Governor Bob Martinez signed David's death warrant. In 1989, a federal district judge overturned David's death sentence, ruling David should have been allowed to introduce evidence substantiating his claim he was drunk at the time of Lynn's murder and not in complete control of his actions.
Bullshit.
But at the resentencing hearing in November of 1992, the then 24-year-old Reagan testified that David had not been drunk, he was not slurring his words, his eyes weren't bloodshot, and she did not smell alcohol on his breath during her ordeal. Good for her for having the courage to go and testify against him.
For sure.
At the end of the hearing in Fort Pierce, a jury unanimously resentenced David to the electric chair.
Good. The
state switched to lethal injections as its method of execution before David was executed, though. But he still
got the electric chair.
No.
Oh, they did lethal injection.
They did lethal. Yep. They changed up before he got executed. This is a quote. I've seen a lot of murders over the years and prosecuted a lot of death penalties, State Attorney Bruce Colton said after the jury's verdict. But I can't think of anyone that deserves death penalty more than David does.
No, I agree. I mean, there's probably a few out there that deserve it more than him, obviously, but he deserves it.
But he deserves it, yeah. In July of 1997 and March 1998, the Florida Supreme Court twice reaffirmed David's conviction and death sentence. Like, I don't understand why they keep having to reaffirm. Is this because maybe he's trying to fight it?
Appealing it.
So maybe. They have to. Because then on July 5th, 2007, the Florida Supreme Court confirmed David's death sentence again. David was executed by lethal injection at 6:19 p.m. on Thursday, April 12, 2012, at 58 years old, having exhausted all legal appeals. So yeah, those must have been from him appealing it.
Yeah.
As David lay strapped to a gurney in the death chamber, he said, and this is a quote, "I'm sorry. I've had remorse. I'm not the man I was back then. I don't fear death."
Oh.
End quote. Lynn's father spoke about David's execution, stating, and this is a quote, "I said to myself, I condemn your soul to hell, and I kept saying that in my mind, and I hope that is where it went." End quote. Although Lynn's life was taken by David Allen Gore, her father, Carl, states that he believes her spirit lives on. She loved being at the beach. Fred was convicted of manslaughter for Lynn's death and sentenced to 15 years in prison. He was found guilty of first-degree murder in the cases of Barbara Byers and Angelica LaValle, two of David's victims, and is serving 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole for those. Fred filed numerous appeals to the manslaughter conviction in Lynn's death, claiming he left the house as soon as he, David, Lynn, and Reagan arrived there. In 1995, he filed a 1,300-page motion to dismiss the manslaughter conviction and sentence. A motion filed in October of 1998 claimed David had recanted his trial testimony implicating Fred in the murders of Lynn, Barbara, and Angelica. Fred alleged David had implicated him because prosecutors threatened David with the death penalty in each of the half-dozen murders. Both the motions were denied.
Good.
Fred Waterfield was originally imprisoned in Okeechobee Correctional Institution, but was later moved to Hardy Correctional Institution. He has maintained his innocence, and his family has made efforts on his behalf to prove his innocence. Fred is now 71 years old and still incarcerated.
They're trying to prove his innocence, but they molested David's sister. She could protest. She can testify.
Yeah. But whatever. I mean, that's...
Well, and my other question is why does David get the death penalty and Fred doesn't?
Because they could only pin him for 2 of the murders.
But he still murdered somebody.
Yeah, but it wasn't 6.
So he only got it... If he got less than 6, he probably wouldn't have the death penalty?
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying he
Yeah.
had more murders than, so
I
probably
feel like-
because he had more.
I feel like anybody who's a murderer needs the death penalty.
Well, I agree, but
Whatever. It doesn't matter how many they have. How many people they've murdered.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's really weird doing these cases because there's such a satisfaction with them being caught and having to deal with the consequences, like life in prison or being dished out the ultimate punishment, paying for their crimes with their own lives.
Mm-hmm.
But then it just also leaves an emptiness too, because these women and children, because 4 out of these 6 victims were just that, children. They were 14, 17.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was another 14-year-old, like, they were children.
Sick. Yeah.
And their lives were taken from them after being raped, and in some cases watching a friend or a loved one being raped too. And then it just doesn't seem right. David paying with his life doesn't feel like enough.
Mm-mm.
His one life doesn't cover the emptiness that the loss of their 6 lives left. So I think they should have killed him, brought him back, killed him a few more times.
That's right.
Yeah. But that is the story of the killing cousins. Not the kissing cousins.
No.
But killing cousins.
Killing cousins.
Yep.
The sick fucks.
David Allen Gore and Fred Waterfield. 2 sickos.
Yep.
And, with Fred...
He's a coward.
Yeah, well, anybody that had spoken about him growing up said that he was the leader. Like, David followed him around.
Right.
So for him to say that he had no part in the murders and stuff, like...
Is bullshit.
Yeah, it's... I don't believe it.
Me either.
I don't believe
That's why, because David was the shy one.
Yeah.
And Fred was the outgoing one. So that was my question about why is David the one out getting the women when he's the shy one, and Fred is the one that's just waiting in the background.
Yeah.
But Fred was the one that murdered too.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't know.
They both got what they deserved. Well, Fred didn't get what he deserved, but
At least he's still in prison.
at least he's still in prison.
Yeah.
With no possibility of parole. So fuck them.
Yeah. Fuck them. And fuck David's birthday.
Yep. I hope it was a shitty one.
Yeah. But that's it. That's all I got.
Okay. That was a good one.
Oh, good. Good. It's a little bit shorter than my usual, but
That's okay.
it's okay.
Mine are always short. Welcome to the club.
Yay. But please check out our website at www.spine-chillingchatspodcast.com. There you can hit the link to listen to other episodes.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a link there to our merch, which has
Really cool stuff. So
yeah,
please
like,
buy some merch.
get yourself a killer mug with their mug shots on it.
Tank tops.
T-shirts. Coffee.
Yeah, coffee. We have koozies.
We have koozies. We have a lot.
We have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
You can also send us an email through there giving us some of your spooky stories or
Yes.
suggestions.
Anything you want to hear,
Yeah.
you want us to cover. And if you don't want your name mentioned, we will omit that or change it, or we'll say it. It's up to you.
Yeah. Or if you don't want to do it through there, you can send us an email at spinechillingchatspodcast@gmail.com, and there is no dash in spine chilling on that one.
Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Yep. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share.
And we always forget to mention YouTube.
Yes, we're on YouTube.
We're on YouTube too.
But it's just our audio.
It's not a video.
It's not a video yet. Maybe someday we'll figure it out.
Maybe. We're not tech savvy.
No, we're not. We spent like half an hour trying to figure it out because we couldn't hear
Ourselves.
the playback
Yeah.
through our headphones. So
That was fun.
yeah. Also, please, if you listen to this and you have any comments, please comment on it.
Yeah.
We want to hear what you guys think about
Even
it.
if it was like a bad comment that we did something that was
stupid.
Yeah. Or if we didn't pronounce something right, or, like, we are thick-skinned. We can take the negative comments along with the good comments.
Maybe some of us are thicker than the others.
Yeah, I'd probably be like, fuck this
fuck
dude.
you. You don't know.
Right.
You weren't there.
Exactly. So, yeah, leave some comments.
Leave some comments, like it, share it, subscribe it, become it,
live it,
so we can cover a case on you.
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
Don't become a serial killer.
Don't do that. No. But if you want to become a ghost and come haunt us so we can cover you that way, that's fine.
That's fine.
I mean, when your time is up, okay?
Right. Don't make it before then.
Don't end it before it should.
So, that's it.
Yeah, hit us up.
We're cool. Cool.
Maybe we'll be friends. I don't know.
Yeah, we want to be your friends. So.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for listening. Check us out again. And we hope you keep it spooky. See you guys.
Bye.
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 Thanks for joining us on Spine Chilling Chats, your go-to podcast for all things murder, paranormal, and macabre. Keep sipping that spooky tea and diving into the darkness with us. If our tales have sent chills down your spine, don't forget to hit subscribe and share with your fellow lovers of the haunting and horrific. See you next time.